Hello, everyone. My name is Megan DeMore, and I am here at Comic-Con 2019 with LaMonica Garrett, a.k.a. The Monitor. How are you doing today, LaMonica?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Now, I want to start off talking a little bit about how you got the role, because I find with a lot of superhero projects, it's very secretive, and some people don't even know what role they've actually landed. By the time that they're cast. So can you tell me a little bit about that, and if you even knew?
Yeah, I went through the whole audition process thinking I was Val Zod, like Black Superman. Oh. The way the character breakdown was, he was Kryptonian, he was of another world, he was all powerful. I'm like, who else is there? Like there's no one else. And it was maybe 3 auditions into it, and after I was in the gym, I was working out, my agent hit me up, yeah, you got the part, awesome. They want you to fly out to Vancouver tomorrow to start working on, get fitted for the outfit. I'm like, all right, cool. Wait. Well, who am I playing? Like they were so vague about it, and then they told me the Monitor. They had to call and find out, and then they called me back and told me it was the Monitor. I was like, oh, the Monitor. No, that's not Val Zod. Okay, that's Crisis. That's a big deal.
Now you're a comic book fan, so you knew the magnitude of the role going in pretty much. So what was your first initial gut reaction to learning that information?
Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. Like they've been building this train, since Flash 1. They've been, setting this in motion. They've been laying pieces down over the years, and adding the Monitor is kind of not the final piece, but like one of the last big pieces to that puzzle. So in my head, I was just like, research, ask a ton of questions, research, read more, go back and reread Crisis, research, just putting myself in that world. And not just research with Crisis, but like the Guardians, like Oa, Green Lanterns, like Anti-Monitor, that was their main nemesis, going throughout the comic book. So it was like I just studied everything. But it was fun research because, that's what you do anyway. You read comic books.
When you were announced for the role, we knew that you were going to be starring in Elseworlds. Did they let you know that this was going to transition into Crisis the following year?
Absolutely not.
So you were in the dark, too.
I didn't know until the end of Supergirl when they flashed it on the screen just like everybody else. So my phone started ringing, and I'm like, how'd they keep this from me the whole time? That's a big deal. But it was fun. Like, as a fan, I like being surprised because it's hard to keep stuff under the wraps. In today's television and film, everything gets leaked out. So it's fun when you're watching something and you just totally get blindsided and not see it coming. And that's what Crisis was at the end of Supergirl when it came on.
Now, going back to Elseworlds, and even in the comics, it feels like the Monitor he's near omnipotent, but he's not really involved in the action. He kind of sends people out. So moving forward, as we're going into Arrow Season 8 and into Crisis and Infinite Earths, are we going to see the Monitor take on a more active role? Maybe is he going to get in on the action?
It would be nice to see him get in on the action. It was, they're following the comics they're trying to do it. It's hard to adapt everything, from the page right to the screen, but they've been pretty spot on. And the Monitor never really got his hands dirty in the comic books. Me, the actor, wants to just put my hands on somebody and, and mix it up. But that's not really what the Monitor does. He's more, psychological. He outthinks everyone. He's playing chess when everyone's playing checkers. But it'd be nice. I really have no idea. Just like I found out that Crisis was coming at the end of Supergirl on TV. As I go, like when I get the scripts and I'm reading them as a fan first because they're like issues. They're like new comic books coming out, how I read them. And I find out new information just from reading each issue. Like, oh, wow. Okay. Oh, we're doing that. Nice. I really don't know. But, time will tell. I think that's the fun part, too, that, we'll see it all play out.
Now, one of the executive producers, Mark Guggenheim, recently, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago from today, announced that they had started work on Crisis on Infinite Earths. So we know that they're already underway writing, developing. Have they told you anything about it?
Every time the Monitor, you see him on screen, his presence lends itself to the Crisis. So he's not there just coming to play Taboo Night, with the guys. Like, he's there, each show has their own thing going on, their own villains to catch, their own stories to get through, their personal battles. But when the Monitor shows up, it's more of a crisis moment. So I've been working whenever he's working, it's Crisis moment. Crisis and Infinite Earths, the crossover hasn't started, but it's like they said. Beth said pretty much Arrow is the whole season's a Crisis buildup, leading up to the Crisis. So from day one on Arrow season 8, it starts the Crisis. It's a prelude to what's happening.
Now, obviously, at the end of Arrow season 7, we see Oliver make good on his deal to join the Monitor in his quest to save people. How much are we going to see you in season 8?
I think I'll be around. And kind of like last year, popping up on season finales here, one episode here, 2 episodes there. It's like he's one of those characters, which is fun. That he's a Where's Waldo kind of, and when he comes, it's something ominous that's following him. So it just heightens whatever scene is going on, whatever presence that's already around, it heightens that moment. And it just reminds the audience that Crisis is around the corner. So it's one of those things like, I won't be on, I don't think, one show every episode, but I will be bouncing around the universe just to remind people like, hey, I got a big brother he's coming,
What are the odds we'll see you on any of the other Arrowverse shows prior to Crisis?
He'll be around. Yeah, Monitor, he's around. Yeah, so that's as much as I can say about that. I can't tell you when, how, and why, but he'll be around leading up to it.
So Oliver has gone off with the Monitor to help him warn different worlds. Can you tell me a little bit about how Oliver's dynamic with the Monitor evolves through the season and into Crisis?
I think they're still at a stage, and not Oliver, but the rest of the superheroes included, they're trying to figure out if they can trust this guy. Because he comes in, he's not doing the best intentions as far as the audience is seeing, what's going on. But that was him in the comic book as well. He was, an arms dealer to villains. He was doing bad things for a greater good, but you didn't know that at the moment. So I think they're just still trying to figure out if they could trust this guy. Like if they, he says, come with me and we'll do this. I'm just some guy that shows up in your living room, but they've seen how powerful he is. So that's, you got to roll with it.
Can you possibly tease something that you are most excited for fans to see from the Monitor in the upcoming episodes?
I think just the Crisis in general, like the way it's playing out. Like I said, they've been, dropping breadcrumbs for years now, and just all this playing out, and to add in Arrow's last season, like it's just a lot going on right now. It's just a fun time to be a part of the Arrowverse.
I want to circle back a little bit and talk a bit more about the comics, because you're a fan. You're a big comic book fan, and by your role as the Monitor, you just are able to meet all these different kinds of characters. And in fact, you met up with Lex Luthor at the end of Supergirl.
Yeah.
So what was it like to be able to encounter these characters? And is there anyone in particular that you're very excited to work with?
All of them, really, but just there was an intimidating scene last year, like the fanboy in me, the actor. There was a standoff with Flash, Supergirl, and Arrow and Elseworlds last year.
Right.
And the kid in me was facing these, legends I grew up reading about. Was like, wow. Like the kid in me was on the sideline eating popcorn, just like, this is going to be crazy. Like, this is madness. And that was just one of those moments. But every time I work with those guys, like just seeing, what it is on their chest, what they represent, and just being in comic books my whole life, I have fanboy moments at work all the time.
Jumping off of that, we got news this morning that Brandon Routh is going to be reprising his role as Superman. So how excited are you for that? Tell me about that.
That's coming from the film. Like it's just big. And I think that with Crisis too, there's so many ways they can go with it. There's so many people they can grab from the history of DC TV and now film that who knows. I think the closer we get to it, names are going to be popping in, different actors from back in the day. And it's a who's who of who's going to be in Crisis. And I'm looking forward to it as a fan as well. But, working with them is going to be awesome.
On a more technical note, the costume for the monitor it looks very involved. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if they've like streamlined a process for you where it's
It gets
easy
in
to
your
get in and
business.
out.
No, it's up close and personal. But those outfits, they're built more for, aesthetics. They're not built for, I'm gonna go out and play some golf in the monitor outfit. But it looks the part, and he doesn't do a lot of movement. At some point, maybe he will. We'll figure that out. But it looks fantastic.
How long does it take you to get in and out of that costume?
About 30 minutes.
Oh,
And
that's not too bad.
I don't drink water. No water. 30 minutes in, and it takes about an hour for my hair to get put in, and like from the time I get to base camp, it's like an hour and a half.
Of course, you cannot have the monitor without having the anti-monitor,
Big brother.
who is sort of the negative version of the
Yeah.
monitor. What do you know about him?
As a fan, I know all about that. He's the biggest of the bads. Like, he's that guy. And if he does make an appearance in Crisis, I think that'll shut the internet down. As a fan, like, that's the anti-monitor. That's what it's all about. We'll see. Who knows if it's coming, but I'm looking forward to it.
All right, I think that's about as much time as we have today. But Crisis on Infinite Earths will be on the CW sometime this fall, and you will see LaMonica and the Monitor in it. So stay tuned with CBR for more information about that, and enjoy the rest of your con.
Thanks for having me.